Welcome to Ask Me Anything with Pipelines and Pool House. So before we dive into the actual AMA, I want you to know who's going to be answering your questions today. So I want each of the panelists just to introduce themselves.
I'm Erin Sullivan, partner in POOLHOUSE. I'm also a freelance agency and brand producer. I've been doing this, it's been pretty much my only job in my entire adult career. So I've been doing this for a little over 15 years.
Hi, I'm Candice. I'm an executive producer at PRETTYBIRD production company in Culver City. I oversee the music content division and all sorts of fun short form projects at the company. I've been there for 12 years and it's been a blast.
Hello, everyone. My name is Leyla Rosario. I'm the CEO, and executive producer of the Gig Media, with my partner in crime, Jessica L. Ransom, here today. And also, too, I'm the global executive producer at Ogilvy for Instagram.
Hi, I'm Jessica L. Ransom. My career, I started about 10 years ago in reality television, where I was an associate producer on shows like Teen Mom, 16 and Pregnant, King of Thrones. Then I worked in commercial production on the vendor side as a senior producer. I worked in documentaries and branded content as a senior post-producer. And as Leyla said, I am now the co-CEO and EP of the Gig Media. And I'm currently in a new type of role at Deutsch, working as an ad producer.
My name is Suzanne Hargrove, or Zanny, and I am an executive producer at PRETTYBIRD. I have been there for going on 6 years. And prior to that, I kind of grew up in commercial production all the way from starting from a PA, and then I was a producer for about 16 years or so, and have had the opportunity and with advertising to travel the world, and love it, and am happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for introducing yourselves. So we wanted to create an opportunity for you guys to be able to ask any and all questions about career prep, their job, their experiences, their origin story. There's really no limits with an appropriation. But we want you guys to really pick their brains and really have thoughtful questions for them. So while you guys are thinking of those questions, I'll start and kind of do an icebreaker and ask each of our panelists, what is your why? What keeps you waking up every day and saying, this is what I want to do every day?
The big thing for me why I got into production is to create original content. I have a lot of script ideas. So basically I got into the field, like I said, I started in television, then I got into commercial production, and now I'm heading into advertising. But with the Gig Media, it's my passion, it's my dream, is to actually write my own scripts, come up with ideas, work with Leyla, and just developing our own projects. So I think that is the why.
The why for me is that I just don't see enough representation of storytelling that's from Black and brown voices every day. I'm here to be an advocate for that. I'm here to be able to produce content that I feel is intentional, that if I'm putting my name on it and I'm working on it, I want to make sure that I'm also paving the way and giving the opportunity for the next producer that, doesn't have the opportunity or that is overlooked. And that's the why for me.
I mean, in terms of just why I do this is I love the challenges. I've always been inherently a producer, and so mine would be more drilling down on the logistics of creating advertising and that kind of thing. I've loved advertising since I was in college, etc. And I do agree very much so about trying to give people opportunities that have not had the opportunities, for sure. And as I've been doing this for a long time, and as I'm getting, older, I am definitely trying to help to spread the word and give opportunities to younger people of all types.
I've just always really just enjoyed the process. I love the people. And now with POOLHOUSE and working with the Gig, meeting new people, everybody's so interesting. And it's a really great playground, if you will, for curious minds. So I really enjoy it.
I have to agree with all the ladies here. It really is a great, to be honest, it's a really wonderful career. I'd say that something that's special about the short form world that we work in at PRETTYBIRD, it gives us an opportunity to literally do something new every single day. So we're telling stories and we're seeing the fruits of our labor from the concept phase to the final project within a few weeks. And so it's just this constant turnaround of amazing storytelling and learning new things and learning about new cultures and people and places and, techniques. And so I feel like I'm I've never left school. I'm constantly evolving and constantly learning. And that's such a magical thing about producing.
I've dealt with racism on set for sure. I've dealt with sexism. I've had some very difficult experiences in production, mainly on set and also within the hierarchy of companies. I would say the way that I have pursued my career is forming a tribe. And I always tell everyone starting out, find your allies in this business immediately and early and grow together. There's an Issa Rae comment that was like, you need to network across instead of networking up. And I wholeheartedly agree with that because this industry is hard. And I have mainly worked for men and I have worked with some women, but in terms of I've worked with women that have dealt with racism issues. So I would say the best thing for anyone starting out in this industry and making it is to network across, get to know your people, work together, build your network. I keep saying over and over again, because they're going to help you when you are down, when you're in trouble, when you're like, hey, I'm dealing with sexism on set, get your female allies, y'all come together, y'all work together. That is my advice for anyone trying to make it in this industry.
Well, I have obviously not faced racism, and I'm fortunate in that. But I feel that I've also worked for men and for women. As an EP, I worked for a company prior to this that was for men owned it, and I don't feel like I've faced sexism. I feel as a line producer, and I've often thought about this. I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I'm a big tomboy, it's just I haven't had to face that. I also happen to be, in the LGBTQ plus, and I've often wondered if that's had anything to do, like if I've faced any kind of discrimination about that, and I have to honestly say that I feel that I've been very fortunate, and in particular in this business, probably that I haven't had overt issues with that. But I often wonder, as I come from Ohio, if I wasn't in this business, what that would look like on a different thing. So I feel very, very fortunate. And unless a lot of people were talking behind my back, which could be, I feel very lucky. But I do think that allies, that your group, that your posse that you have are absolutely invaluable, and you have to have them just to help each other, and go up. So.
Yeah, all ships rise together.
I mean, everyone is saying, like, thank you all for your honesty as well, because this is a very heavy question. It's an important question. So thank you for asking it. So this year has been hard for most of us, right? 2020 is a fucking shit show. And with that said, sexism and racism is something that I've experienced my entire career. Before becoming an EP, I'm also a cinematographer by trade and a director. So the sexism and the racism I experienced a lot, especially when I was in the camera department. This is when I was like first AC loader, pulling focus. I'm not incredibly tall. So even just my stature walking into a room, I have a big personality, but I'm not big in my height. And I would get overlooked a lot. And that was just incredibly hard to overcome, especially working in a very male-dominated industry and working in such a male-dominated department, the technical department and the camera department. And that was something that I had to work through for a very long time. So fast forward to today, how do I overcome it today? Mental health is important. Therapy is important. Conversations are important. To Jessica's point and everyone's point about having a tribe, thankfully I have a network of people that I trust in the industry that we've started off as business partners, and we've been able to develop a natural friendship. And that is important for us to have these conversations. But I think too, just talking about it and speaking about your experiences is part of overcoming the challenge. And I say that because this year we've experienced a lot of things that have been camera facing. The news has been alerting a lot of things that have been impacting us. So we are all experiencing some kind of trauma in some way, shape, or form. I think that does affect the industry. I think it affects how we are as women, and how we are able to overcome it is by speaking out loud about it And definitely I am a huge advocate for therapy as well. So those are the tools that I use to get me on a day-to-day. Some days are harder than others. You know, even in the position that I'm in right now, it's not an easy road. And if I didn't have my tribe of people, you know, I wouldn't have the support that I need to get through the difficult times. And that's just, you know, it's not, this is not glamorous. This is hard work. And if you love it and you're passionate and you see the vision, then anything else that is difficult, you will find a way to overcome it.
Yeah, one thing that I think that's been interesting about 2020 and all of us kind of being relegated to doing our jobs on Zooms like this, in terms of like experiencing sexism, there weren't too many instances where it was overt, but there was a lot of subtlety, you know, like there's a lot of not being able to get your voice out in a room, you know, not being able to voice your opinion or speak your mind first, you know, like I was a constant sarcastic hand raiser in so many meetings in my career. I'd be like, and they'd be like, what are you doing? I'd be like, I've been trying to get a word in edgewise for like 15 minutes, you know? So that's one thing. But one thing that's been interesting about Zoom is there's like a kind of almost like a new dynamic within the screens where I feel like because we're not all in one room together, there's a different dynamic and it seems like people all kind of get their turn to speak now in a way that I haven't experienced in the past.
I think a big thing we need to talk about is in terms of pay. I see that in terms of sexism, especially in our industry. You definitely see men rising faster, getting paid more than women. So I think that is something where it may not be overt, but when it comes to money, it is overt. And that's what I would just piggyback off of that.
To your point, I've had to fight for the position 5 times harder for the positions that I'm in. And because of, you know, I'm competing against a male and still get underpaid, you know, throughout the industry, throughout my career, I still get underpaid than my male counterparts. So, yeah.
I love this. And this is all so necessary when we're talking about, you know, women in this field as well. So I also appreciate this being an organic, honest conversation as well.
The best way I always tell people trying to get your work out there is to invest in PR. It sounds strange, but work with a PR agency that usually it's a way to get it out there, because now going viral anymore is not just like by accident. People invest in going viral. They try to get their work in the hands of someone famous to retweet it, to like, you know, follow it or something. So, and you could get someone famous involved to do that. That's great. And that's how you get your work out there. And that's how you get deals. And I have friends of mine that have gotten deals based upon a celebrity retweeting whatever video. So that is one aspect. Another one I said is like paying for a PR company. It, you know what I mean? It's a risk, but it's something where you can do a media blitz or something like that. That's a way to get your work seen by multiple people and help you get a bigger platform.
Yeah, and see if those PR companies can donate their services because you're nonprofit. Also too, because you're nonprofit, you have an opportunity to be able to go to brands. And if you develop a project overview, put together a press kit, if you have it, any kind of information and a deck that you can present to brands, and see if you can get brand deals for them to be able to negotiate any kind of funding or any kind of percentage of resources, whatever those resources are. It could be anything from donating legal services. I think starting with that and really building out the structure of what your overall angle and the branded message, so that way when you walk into these places, you have that and you're saying the same thing and your team is saying the same thing and everyone has the same elevator pitch. Establishing that first on paper would be my recommendation, and then looking into those legal services and try to reach out to brands. And how you can try to reach out to brands is going into what Jessica's mentioning about PR. PR can help with that. If they're able to donate and volunteer their time, and given that you're a nonprofit, you should be good to go.
Yep. Get that pitch deck together. That's the big thing. Got to get that pitch deck together.
And have all your friends review it. Have everybody bring bottles of wine to your place, make it social distancing, everyone read it out loud, make sure that you get it in place, all the grammatical errors are out. So get that.
Especially that.
Yeah.
Especially that. Yeah. Like this deck is going to be what represents you. And you get one chance at a first impression. One.
Yeah.
And when you misspell names, when you misspell, you know, grammar and etc., then that's just going to put a taste in their mouth immediately. So that deck is presentations, everything.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah, I mean, I've done both. I mean, I've worked on the vendor side and the agency side and the brand side and the talent agency side. It's just a different thing. I mean, you just kind of, you may have to make a lateral move, you know, in order to do that. But they're all fun in their own right. If you're agency producing though, it's actually, like, my personal opinion, it's the most fun of all the other jobs, but that's just me. I'm partial.
Line producing is so much fun. I mean, it's hard. It's very hard, but it is so much fun. You get to be in charge of, like, you know,
Yeah.
the logistics and the challenge. It's like, I always say in advertising that it's like the SWAT team, you know, because the agency has to do the whole thing and, you know, deal with the client, and it's months and months and months. We get to go in and there's just like a precise strike team. We go in, we move 75 people in, we set up, we shoot, get out. The thing is that I don't know if you, like, I feel like if you come over as a producer and you want to produce, like, stepping in as a production manager / supervisor is not easy as well, because you have to, that's in my opinion, probably one of the hardest jobs.
Yeah.
And I think that it's almost like you need to have that opportunity, and then you need to surround yourself with, because as an agency producer, you get the political part of it. You know, you get more of how you're going to do the politics of what the client wants, what the director wants. You know, you have to juggle all that kind of stuff. And I think as an agency producer, you get that experience anyway. So I would think it's almost like you'd have to figure out how to get the opportunity and then just surround yourself with the best production team.
Right.
You know, but it's a very difficult question. I mean, I feel like you'd have to probably start even maybe as a coordinator and then go up that way.
Yeah.
Can I jump in here for a second? Because I was production company until basically now. So I basically was production company in until as of August of 2020. I'm now agency side. So I would say, as someone in my career, and I would say it is very difficult, but I had to basically go down. You are correct. I was basically like an associate producer, going down to a coordinator, then going back up to associate producer, then going down to PM. It's basically been like that my entire career. Because I went from, like I said, television to commercial production to post-production, and now I'm in agency side. So I would say at an agency right now, I was a senior level when I worked for production companies. I'm now just like a mid-level, almost like I would say mid to senior and agency side. So, and I would say the learning curve in the switch is more just learning, like producing is producing. Like if you have that skill, you have that skill, but it's just more about learning all the players. And agency has a lot of players, which I'm not used to. I'm used to, like, here's the script, we do it, we're done. You know what I mean? Like we put it together, and I'm the only checks and balances. I don't need to talk to, this is the fair, and then we have to talk to the creatives, then you got to talk to, you literally just talk to like one person that may be your boss. And if you're your own boss, senior level, you're just doing it. So I would say the big thing, if you want to go to agency to, like she said, to basically vendor side and production, you probably will have to step down. I would say like coordinator level, or you should start doing on the side some of your own projects, take in other projects on the side for other brands, maybe not related to your agency, and start producing them that way. So to develop a high-end, like freelance kind of company of sorts, like your own LLC, and be like, all right, I'm going to produce this project for whatever brand or whatever short film or what have you. Build your freelance credits on the side as you work the agency job. And then when you have your resume, put your freelance stuff on top, your agency stuff on bottom, and that's how you get people to look at you. I mean, it's a lot of work. You gotta do 2 jobs, or if you don't wanna do 2 jobs, you gotta take a step back. And she's right, like coordinator level. How I went to agency was basically, like I said, I took a step back. So that's basically the only way to switch in terms of careers.
But it works. Works. So like, don't not do it. Like if that's what if you know that's what you want to do, don't be daunted by this, you know, proceed. And I promise you'll rise to the top if you're a hard worker and get it done.
Yeah, Jessica's right. Like if you have the skills of a producer, you have the skills of a producer. That carries across, you know, a lot of different industries. The nuances of each job are what you really need to hone in on and focus. And at a certain point, just doing it is the only way you're ever going to learn. I'm sure everyone on this panel can agree that we learn something new every time we do a job, and can only reflect to past jobs to figure out how to do something we're learning right now, because we've kind of done it. Like, it's experience, it's the network you have, it's kind of all these things that you grow over years. So to just jump in, you can use your producer skill set totally and get in there. The nuances just come as you go, and you just can't be scared to jump in and learn and take it and go for it.
Yeah, just make sure you tailor the resume. That helps a lot. So if you really want to go vendor side, make sure all of the stuff that you worked on the side, if you plan to do that, like basically 2 jobs route, that's the way to go. So make sure all your production stuff is first, and then because they won't lie, they won't care about your agency stuff. When you're production companies, they will not care.
No, and just one quick thing to also add, start sidebar conversations with the production companies that you hire. So if you're if you're at an agency and you're an agency producer, whether you're junior, mid, doesn't matter what level, start establishing those relationships with the production companies. And if you have a rapport with some of the EPs at the production houses, that is your window of an opportunity to say, hey, actually, I love what you do, and I'd love to be able to have the opportunity to intern or shadow or take a lower position just to be able to advance my skills and work hard towards, whatever your goal is. But start those conversations, because I've done it. And if it's successful to do so, because we're on set together. We're on set for 14-hour days. Hey, I have a question. What would it be like to do this? And most times, those production vendors and producers, they're honest and will be more than happy to help answer that question.
Yeah. Can I add one other thing on? I don't know, time-wise, because this just occurred to me as well. It's not just also now in 2020, it's not just an advertising agency and then a production company for commercials. With branded content, there's a whole other world. And I feel that sometimes, agency producers are very suited to that, because there's still a client, there's still a production, but also it goes all the way through post. Like, that's something that a lot of production, like line producers, don't have to deal with. Once the shoot's done, they're off. So I also think that going a branded content route might be, you still may have to take a step back, but it's out there, and there are just so many avenues to explore. So don't forget that it's not just about a short commercial.
I love Leyla's point, because one of my mantras is that closed mouths don't get fed. Okay, so let me just throw that out there. Closed mouths do not get fed. So I love your point, Leyla, and everyone's. So thank you.
I mean, I've pitched before a few times. Lots of hurdles. If you are not famous, it's quite difficult. If you don't have a name, an A-list talent assigned attached to your idea or project, it's very difficult. The key is, if you want to pitch a screenplay, if you want to pitch any kind of reality show concept, you basically need an agent, because a lot of places don't take, you'll hear this all the time, we don't take unsolicited content. I've heard that mantra like at least 50 times. It keeps going. I pitched MTV, I pitched A&E, I pitched to a lot of networks, I pitched to production companies. And I can say from screenwriting also to reality show concepts. So your best bet is to obviously have the pilot, have the pitch deck if you can. Sometimes people even will do a proof of concept. They will film a proof of concept, basically have all your ducks in a row, even if you have a show Bible. And then I would say go from there. It's like you need to try to sign an agent, try to sign a talent aboard, because that opens the doors. Also check out those screenwriting contests. A lot of my friends have actually gotten work or gotten money from that for their ideas. So try all those diversity contests going on. As a queer Black woman, I try to apply for all of them. I've only won one so far, but Leyla and I won one together. And I would say just try all of those contests. They actually do open doors, and they do give you money, or they give you resources. So that's a way to get a screenplay in if you don't know like Will Smith. So yeah, those are my suggestions.
Oh, there's so many perks, right? When you get greenlit, when things are approved, when you get a final cut, when you see things mixed and everything has come together, and that whirlwind of just nonstop working for so many weeks, it all comes to a beautiful crafted story. And I love it. I love that part of it. the hustle and the struggle is, you know, finances and budget, you know, making sure that keeping clients happy, maintaining budget, trying not to go into any overages, but that does happen on set. And when you have to communicate and have those hard conversations with everyone, being prepared to justify why, and also letting your clients know ahead of time and warn them too, like, hey, this may be coming in, we may be running into an overage. No one wants to have that conversation. No one wants to have overages, but it does happen, and preparing yourself for that is something that I would say is always a constant learning curve for me too. You know, how you never know how you walk in, it's like, we don't know how someone's going to react when you're saying, hey, you have a $25,000 overage that you need to explain and as to why, even if you justified it for so many reasons. So those are the things that you learn, and that's part of the communication process. Like, as you're continuing to build your producer skill set and your toolkit, is over communication, especially in those hard conversations. So you want to protect your vendors too. That's the one thing I will say. Like, agency producers, we are obviously, you know, working for the agency, working for the client, but and maintain your relationships with your vendors, because at the end of the day, your vendors also, you know, you want to protect them. You want to make sure that they are not getting burned, and also too, you want to make sure that you'll be able to work with them again. And if you're fucking them over, doesn't matter how much money you're going to throw at a particular company, they may say no as well. So keep that in mind too.
I mean, I would say that the biggest perk about the job is just to get to work with people, you know, and really build a team and move mountains together. I just love, I've met so many amazing people, you know, in the 15 plus years I've been doing this. I mean, Zan, I think, I don't even know how long we've known each other, right?
Yeah, 15, 20 years, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And Jessica, you know, we just met during COVID and new fast friends, and Shari. And I really, my favorite part about the job is just really meeting new, interesting people and coming together to solve those problems and those challenges. But sometimes the biggest challenges is also the people. So, you know, my advice is don't ever burn a bridge. Always be kind, always be fair. And really, because it'll come back and bite you in the butt if you don't. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the pros of this and the highlights of this career is learning something new all the time. I think I said that earlier, and working with wonderful people. There aren't many industries where you'll find, you know, compatibility within your company, within your industry, you know, like-minded people that are interesting and fun and smart. And I think that is a plus, to really love everyone you work with for the most part. And to Erin's point, sometimes the people, you know, that becomes the issue as well, because there are a lot of cooks in the kitchen on these projects, and it takes, you know, a team from so many different companies to come together and work somewhat harmoniously if we can. And so learning diplomacy, understanding how to navigate a situation to, you know, make things run smoothly. It's not always easy, but you learn as you go, and it's a very important thing, I think, in life as well. So yeah, pros, I love the people, and cons, sometimes working with people is complicated, but you get there.
Pros, I'm going to be the cheesy one, be like, it's the glamour, baby. Like, I have done the Hollywood red carpet and parties, and, you know, you get the, like, you see your name in the credits, you know, all of that. It is great. And seeing everything you have come together, the rush. Like, I remember I directed my first short film, and I had that rush on set. It was like, it was better than sex. I can honestly say that. Like, it was such a high I think that you're creating, like, to see it on screen and to see it like come together. Oh yeah, going to like the panels for like the film festivals, like that shit is great. That shit is great. The cons, where do I begin? We talked about it before, the racism, the sexism, and the barriers to actually make content is difficult when, again, if you don't have celebrity connections, you don't have the agents trying to find funding. Oh my God, like that is so like, and that's why I'm glad that Hollywood's finally trying to combat those things, because for people of color, for queer people, for women, it is much harder to get any ideas on the air, or to even, if you have original content, to get your content out there if you don't already have a legacy or nepotism or already a way in with certain people. So the who you know factor, hate it, can't stand it. The other issue I also have with the industry is, like we just talked about, is moving your way up, like going from, if you want to be on the vendor side, your ad agency, people won't take that chance. They're like, oh, she's an ad producer. And they will literally write you off and you have to start over. There have been many times in my career where I had to go down a step to gain a step. Like I just said, I just did that. I went from a senior level producer down to like basically like a mid-level producer, just because I changed literally the, you know, like the aspect of the genre that I'm working in. And I think that's unfair. I think people should look at people's resumes and see their skill sets and see what they can offer. Instead of just being like, oh, well, you're only television. Oh, you're only commercials. Oh, you're only music videos. That whole thing, and not being able to see people's potential, not being able to see how skills can, you know, transfer, and how like literally the learning curve, if you're a producer, it's gonna take you a month or two and then you got it. You just gotta learn the players, that's it, that's all. But folks are really set in their ways of what the industry is. And that to me is another huge pet peeve. So that is my con. So yeah, great highs, but also really low lows.
I have two things. I have wanderlust and I have a love of people. And so for me, the perks, the greatest perks of this have been, I've been able to meet people from all around the world. I love the people in our industry for the most part. I find that we're all a little kooky and that suits me just great. Makes me happy. And I've made friends, you know, I've had the good fortune to shoot on an icebreaker in the Arctic. I've had a good fortune to shoot on an island in Vanuatu and have the villagers have a feast for us. I, you know, have a great white tooth shark from, tooth from my coordinator in South Africa. All of these, being able to travel to Europe, etc. For me, that by far has been the most amazing thing. Just absolutely. And I love seeing my name in credits, 100%. But the challenging part is that is dealing sometimes with the politics of this. And I find that, you know, there are many jobs that I had done that I'm talking about that would now just be done in VFX, or we wouldn't have the money to do it because of procurement and cost consultants, which is a really difficult thing to navigate, because I find that the budgets are smaller now and that doesn't allow for as much creativity as people would want, regardless if we're making commercials or short form or anything. You know, money is, you need sometimes to have the money to allow for a different creative. And I find that the creative has been put more in a box because of business. And that just bums me out on a level. But again, that's something that's happened over years that a lot of you younger producers won't know about, because you're learning in this environment and that kind of thing. But if you have that chance to travel and meet people, then, I mean, who gets paid for this?
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing. So yeah, I love it.
You know, when Erin and I decided to do this, like I said in the beginning, I think it's really important for, especially if you're underrepresented and part of a minority group, we need your voice in this industry. It's such a wonderful, powerful, influential industry that lacks diversity. And so if you are out there and you're like, oh, this is so hard, stay the course, because your voice is needed. It's such a wonderful industry, as you've heard all of these incredible women express the last hour. And so we just are very thankful that you took the time out to speak to everyone on today, panelists. And we hope to have more of these in the future. Please tap into the Pool House also. It's a great resource for aspiring producers, working producers, no matter where you are in your career. This is a great resource for you to tap into, to meet other people, to collaborate, to get information. I'm totally speaking for Erin, sorry.
But go for it. It sounds so much nicer coming from you.
So the-poolhouse.com if you aren't plugged in already. And then obviously download Pipelines and follow Pipelines Mobile on Instagram. But we are so grateful for our industry leaders taking the time out today to share their experiences. And we hope to see you at our future events. But thank you so much. Thank you all. And happy Friday, Junior. And we hope to see you in the future.
Take care. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.